Hello everybody. So I'm going to do something a little bit different, and just my voice might be a little bit, that's because Christmas, but I want to try out something different, some different content. So I've been playing Bloons Tower Defense 5, which is a pretty fun game. I've been playing it for a few months now, it's really fun. I played the Flash games when I was in school, and I saw it on Steam and it was really great. It's on sale for winter, and you should probably buy it because it's good. If you're an engineer main and you watch this channel, you'll probably like it. But anyway, I'm going to be playing through a hard mission on one of these to just show that there's an engineer in this game. And when I started using it, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. He's got like a little helmet, he builds sentries, that's pretty neat. Then I found out it's actually really effective and it's a really good strat. So maybe those of you who like engineers in video games will be like, oh shit, I'm going to get this game now. So I showed the stats. You can get the engineer workshop to make the engineer better in this game, but I start off, put in a little space where it has a lot of reach. You can upgrade its reach later, so you might want to centralize it a little bit, but generally when you want to build your base in a tower defense, you want to have it in as choky place as possible where it can like see everything. So this kind of like hill behind the engineer is kind of where you want to be building your base. So you can start off, he can clear everything on his own. I've sped it up so you're not just sitting looking at it. Buy the sentry upgrade. I've got the fully upgraded engineer's workshop, so my engineers can shoot through lead and frozen balloons, which is very effective. And my sentry guns build faster and do more damage, that's why they're bright red instead of like normal green sentries. So now I have enough money, I buy a sniper. This is so that if any of them slip by, the sniper can kill them because the sniper has the full reach of the map. I also put them a little bit further down because most turrets you wouldn't really want to put there because it hasn't got as much reach, but since sniper has full reach you can kind of just put them there anyway. So I'm just going through here, so getting upgrades as I can, getting firing speed. I want to get the night vision goggles on the sniper as soon as possible so I don't have to worry about those camo balloons, because camo balloons you need night vision or some other abilities to actually see them. So if I can just get that on the sniper as soon as possible, then I don't have to do all my upgrades, realise I haven't got anything, and just let them all slide through my entire defense. So I'm getting all these upgrades on the engineer. I'm not really in that much of a hurry, but I want to get like my initial defense here super strong so that I can start putting money into things like a banana farm or getting the monkey hut. Now the reason I would start off with an engineer instead of like a normal monkey is monkeys, like, they're cheap, they're okay, and they throw darts, but when they scale into the mid and the late game, they just don't do anything. Like, you can get an upgrade where they turn into super monkeys for a brief amount of time, but in the late game you're pretty much just going to be putting down as many super monkeys as possible. And the engineers can scale pretty well. You can get like extra range, so they have more presence. That little upgrade on the left for the engineer right now lets you put down foam on the floor that if balloons go by, if they're camo balloons, they turn into normal camo, which is why I want to get that early game camo on the sniper, because mid game I'm going to be getting that foam. It also turns lead balloons into normal balloons, which is pretty good. I put down the banana farm here. It's good to get it early. It costs $1,000 and it gives you more money over time as long as you can pick up those bananas. I don't buy it immediately because I want to get some other upgrades, but let's look at the engineer again. There are two paths you can go with the engineer. I like to go the left path because you get the foam, which is like very useful for clearing out stuff, and then you get this little, I'm not sure what it's actually called, but there's an upgrade where it places a thing on the track and it collects balloons as it goes by, like the smaller balloons and not like the Moabs, and then you can, when it gets full, you can destroy it and you get like $500 like straight away, so it becomes really cost efficient to get that early on. I put down a glue gunner, and I'm going to put down a spike trap too. The glue gunner, I want to focus priority on the stronger targets so that they slow down and they can basically just take more damage before escaping. I also put down the spike, the tack shooter, whatever, in the center just to clear people going around that corner. I also want to put it like as far away as possible so when I get the range upgrades and the tower upgrade, which increases range, it can just cover that entire area. And then I can use that to also put down a cannon, which will be useful for clearing down these groups of ones when I get the the group explosion upgrade, which is on like the left side of the cannon. I don't like going the right side where it focuses on Moabs because I can already just obliterate them with the amount of damage. The crowd control you get from like clearing a whole bunch, and then the later upgrade that gives you like the stun, which just keeps everything in place, is very useful because you can just lock everything into this choke point that you've made. Now I've put down the tower, which I'm not really focusing too much on. A lot of people would probably put that down early because it reduces like the cost of upgrades, but it's very minimal. Like, it's useful for like putting down before you put down a super monkey, just because it saves quite a few hundred on those very expensive upgrades. But I really just wanted to just give a bit of extra range, and just because I'm grouping everything around, I might as well put like a tower building there. It also becomes quite useful late game if I'm using a lot of abilities, but I prefer not to use extra abilities. I also don't use any of those what are they called, the things you can put like these little like agents in, and they like help out. I haven't used them at all. I think they're useless. They just cost you like in-game currency, and it's like, you can use these once if you're bad, and I'm like, I'm not bad. Okay, so back to the engineer. Like, there's the left side which focuses on a lot of support and a lot of like abilities to like support the other buildings, but then the right side you can increase the speed in which you can like place down sentries, and then the fully upgraded version of that allows you to take one building that has an ability, like for example a super monkey building that like you can get the giant robot ones that just annihilate everything around it. You can upgrade that so that that does it more and has a less cooldown, which is useful if you do focus around using a lot of abilities, then use that, but I don't. I just prefer having a death area of these buildings attacking them instead of actively clicking on buttons. I imagine that's actually more useful if you want to go for the APM style of tower defense in Bloons Tower Defense 5, but I play this very casually, and I most of the time watch streams while playing this game, so I don't really care. But I prefer going left side. It's also the amount of money you get from the balloons is very useful too. So here I'm actually starting to upgrade the bananas now because I have more upgrades. I also, at this point, I would usually put down a super monkey, but while I was recording it, I was trying to show off having all these extra things at the same time, so I think coming up I actually missed like quite a few balloons. But I put down the balloon shipper, which is a very powerful thing. You want to put it like at the front, close to the start. Upgrade the left hand side because it sucks in stuff and then pulls it around, and basically it kind of extends the track because it like stalls them before they can go any further. When you upgrade to everything on the left side, you can suck in Moabs, which like stun lock them, which you can do on like all of them, even like the big like green ones. You can just like keep stun locking them on these ones while you're putting out loads of damage on them. Also, if you have your engineers putting down the little cases on the floor which can collect balloons, if you put it, for example, underneath where they exited the track, then the balloon chipper in this location will occasionally pull balloons towards that area, not to like drop them down, but just pulling them towards the tower puts them inside that box, so it kind of gives you more reach on earning cash. So I've also put a little frozen tower below. I wanted to try and do the same thing with the spike trap, where I wanted to give it as much range as possible and put it in like a centralized area, and that is basically just so if any balloons escape like the choke point I've made, they get slowed down enough that as soon as they go around a long part of the track and then come back to the choke point, I'd have likely cleared everything else so they can immediately just focus those guys down. Okay, so I'm just like making sure everything has as many upgrades and stuff as possible. Here I'm worrying a little bit too much on getting all individual upgrades, so I do miss a bunch of those balloons and whatever. I'm not really focused on getting as many upgrades like the invisible detection on the tower because I've already got the very helpful engineer. I've also noticed that while doing this recording, it is very difficult to constantly come up with a coherent discussion about tower defense, because tower defense can be quite boring to watch. I mean, it's very visually stimulating, but if you already know what's going on, you're kind of just like, eh. It's not like StarCraft, where you're like constantly discussing the mind games of the enemy players. It's pretty much just build this, hope you don't die, okay thanks, bye. I guess it's kind of like watching Engineer and MVM. I guess I could do that at some point. I could do a professional Engineer MVM guide. That might actually be useful. But while this goes through, and you'll probably know what's going on, I guess I'll just talk about the banana thing. I'm going to upgrade it on the right side. Instead of putting down lots and lots of bananas, it turns into a banana bank, which basically just gains cash over time inside the actual tower, and then when it hits 5,000 you can collect it, and then on the final level you can like upgrade to like holding $20,000, and then you can just collect it, and basically that just gives you tons of cash that you can use to buy super monkeys and get their final tier upgrades and stuff. And it's very useful to get a banana farm early on, because it just pays for itself basically. So I thought it would be interesting to cover these games, because I was chatting with Dane like the other day, and he was playing Plants vs Zombies, and I really like that game. I've got like 90 hours in that game, and it's just really fun and chill. And it made me think that like people who play Engineering TF2 and are like passionate about it generally like those kinds of games. They like tower defenses. They like games where you can just build sentries and click on things. And I just figured, I mean, if people like those games in general, then maybe the people who watch my very boring nerdy content maybe like these. I don't know, I'll wait for the 20 dislikes, and then I'll be like, yeah, I probably won't do that. But I mean, I can just go over a bunch of games, because I just like getting all these relaxing games. I guess another one was like the Adventure Capitalist, cookie clicker, candy box kind of thing that was a big fad within like last year or so, of just having automated clicker games. That was pretty obsessing. When Candy Box came out, I completed that like way too hard. We got to the developer's garden and tried to complete that, and it just got like unnecessarily hard, and I was just like, maybe not. And then Cookie Clicker became big, and then the alternate version of Cookie Clicker with the whole fucking like horrible grandma nightmare fuel shit. And yeah, I completed that game. I completed the beta version of it, where it had all this like tier unlocks, and that's probably in the main game now. But I completed all that, and then I was just like, I don't want to ever play this again. So I fucking deleted my save, and I kind of wish I recorded me deleting the save just to have like kind of validity to it. But really, I don't actually care. I was just like, I'm fucking done with these games. I've completed it. The satisfaction of me completing it is there. I'm fucking done. And then I went, and then like one time I was just bored, and I like looked up games on Steam that were like that, and there was like things like Clicker Heroes and Adventure Capitalist, and I started playing those, and then I quit them again, and I'm just like, this is literally like drugs. I mean, at least I'm not paying for like the microtransactions in those games to like get more shit, but like, oh my god, it's just horrible. But I guess Tower Defense have that same kind of thing, where instead of getting that automated thing where it does everything for you, you're watching a bunch of towers click everything for you, while all you have to do is upgrade them, which is pretty nice. And I get that a lot of I get a lot of satisfaction like that, like Pub Engineer or MVM Engineer, where I'm just like, some days I want to play really like try hard and run around on pubs, and whenever I play pubs I'll play like Stock NG, because Stock NG is probably my most favourite NG in pubs, and I'll just run around shotgunning people and DMing and then placing buildings to support. I'll like just place down an Italian dispenser, and anytime I put down a sentry, I'll like put it in like a stupid spot. Like I wouldn't really play like a normal NG. I'll just go running around on a pub, find like a health pack behind my team, and just build like a fucking level 3 sentry. And then every so often I'll get like and then just get like a random kill from my like sentry rockets, and it would have killed like a spy or a soldier trying to jump behind. And then someone in chat is like, what the fuck, Engineer takes so much skill. And it's just like, yeah, because I don't really care, I'm just playing Engineer to just relax. And then the other day, I'll like play Potato NG, where I just equip Gibbous build myself into a corner, nice and symmetrical, put a dispenser on one side, put a sentry on one side, and just relax. And just do that, and it's just satisfying because you can just kind of sit there and kind of help your team without any like real actual input. You're just like, I've got a dispenser near the control point that people can get in health from and stuff, and I have a teleporter, and I'm done. That's me. That's my contribution to the game. I guess like one thing that I wish that Valve would do is make it so either Rancho Relaxo could be immediately cancelled, or make it so there's gameplay benefits to using it, because I've got like an unusual Rancho Relaxo, like hearts and stuff, and I like using that in pubs, but the only time that I can actually use it is when I'm going like full troll, and I'm like, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to find like one random spot and just Rancho and just relax, and just occasionally people will walk by and just be like, the fuck? And like, I want to just build a sentry base and then Rancho Relaxo next to it, but then a spy can just walk in, sap, and then shoot me, and it takes like 2 seconds for me to get out of my chair and I'm fucked. So there's like no gameplay reason why you should ever Rancho Relaxo, because you'll just get like exploited. And it's just like, oh, why do you do this to me, game? And just like give Rancho Relaxo like health regen so you can kind of, oh no, I'm low health and there's no health packs nearby, guess I'll just relax for a little bit. Or make it like the repair node, where if you Rancho Relaxo next to your sentry, it'll just repair it for you. That'd be great. Yeah. But they probably wouldn't do that. And there's one actual other thing that I was like testing the other day, because I got the Buckaroo taunt from the Tough Break. And basically, the Buckaroo taunt, I thought is exactly the same as the Rancho Relaxo, right? Apparently you can stand on top of the payload cart and do the Buckaroo taunt. I guess it bugged out at the same time, and I just saw the little like actual like Buckaroo thing just slowly drift away while I was still on top of the cart. But you can do that, and you can't Rancho on the cart, which is like, I want to push the cart while in my chair, because that's pretty much Highlander engineer in a nutshell. You just sit on the cart all day. I just want to just Rancho on the cart. That'd be great. But you can't. But even more bullshit, you can stand on the cart with 2 people doing rock, paper, scissors, or doing the flip taunt, or something like that. You can have 2 people doing a collaborative taunt on a cart, but you can't Rancho Relaxo on a cart. That's bullshit. That's like engineered discrimination. Like, also another thing is, you can't use Rancho Relaxo in competitive Highlander whitelists, which is meh. So, petition to allow Rancho Relaxo in Highlander. Please, Cacao, to unban this for me. Yeah, just like little ramble while I'm watching all this stuff blow up. I don't think I actually placed my Super Monkeys in the best spot, because I was kind of just putting stuff down in okay spots. I would usually leave like the bottom area for like Super Monkeys, because they can kind of reach around the area. But I also put down that tack place, which Spike Factory, which is one of my other favourite buildings. Like next to the Engineer, the Spike Factory is also really good, because if you're playing one of those really hard levels where like they give you like a little bit of track before they get to the end, you can just put a Spike Factory there at the start of the game and then hope for the best, because like it's kind of like the efficient version of the tack shooter, because the tack shooter is like waiting for them to get to you and then shooting like attack, and occasionally it misses and it's pretty bullshit. But like this one, every time it would attack, it does, because it places down an attack on the floor. It places down a spike, sorry, I keep messing those up. You keep placing spikes on the floor, so as soon as it starts the round, it's immediately becoming efficient, because it's just stacking these attacks over and over again. It's just constantly placing them. So like, you could, if you've got like a really tough level where it's really hard to like individually kill them until you get to the end, you could just place like 5 of these like Spike Factories on the floor at the end, fully upgrade them with all the different types, so they're good against Moabs, and they're good against normal ones, and they're good against like lead balloons and stuff. And then everything else in front of them can just be ways of slowing them down, like getting like loads of glue gunners and little ice things and like slowing them down, and getting balloon chippers to suck them back to the start and things like that. Because then you can just pile all your potential damage from the choke like constantly at the start, and it's all about just waiting. So if you've got like one of these like really efficient setups where you're just constantly doing damage in this choke and slowing them down, even if you think it's perfect, just put down a Spike Factory at the end just in case, because there could just be one thing that escapes and then that's there to save you. and it's literally got like the full game's worth of damage just accumulated, and maybe one Moab slips through and it saves it, and it's like that Moab could wipe the entire thing through but then destroy at the end and it would have been worth it. So I just like the spikes actually. But yeah, here I'm probably not being that efficient with the banana farms as well, because I keep like, I'm not like collecting the money immediately as it hits 20, so it's like kind of missing out. But it's also because I'm trying to pay attention to all this. You want to click on those little like engineer capture things so that you're constantly getting your $500 and they're immediately being replaced. You don't have to click on them, they'll blow up after a while and replace, but obviously if you want to be efficient you can click on it. But yeah, that's the run. That I had maybe a few pauses because it's hard to coherently keep talking about something like this. This isn't scripted, I'm literally watching it and then trying to think of stuff. I should probably make notes, that would be very useful. But yeah, I've already completed that run, so you would usually get more cash than that. When you play the game at the moment, you get double prize money because it's winter, and I guess they want to have high ratings during winter so people will notice that game. But you should probably buy this game. It's like 30% off. I think it's like £5 or something. It's definitely worth it. You put a lot of hours into it, and I don't know, it's a nice relaxing game to play when you're watching live streams or Netflix or YouTube videos, or I don't know, trying to procrastinate from doing actual things. So yeah, hopefully you've liked this content. This was kind of fun to do, and hopefully I can do more. So see ya.